Raptors radio voice, Paul Jones, joins us on our MSG 150 speed dial, which is presented by Fios by Verizon. Paul, last week we talked to you in your car. Where are you today?
Hey, I'm in the parking lot, but I know this. As a New York kid, I know when it's time to collect. When I come to New York, y'all are going to take me into the studio, and I'm going to get a chair, and I'm going to get makeup, and I'm going to look like those two model dudes with you, Bill, like Alan Hahn. You know, I ain't got no hair to fix up like that, but and John Wallace looking all cool with the hat. When I come to New York, I'm gonna get hooked up. That's all I know.
Paul, just so you know, you got more hair than John does.
And I got a hat for you. I got a hat for you, Paul.
Yeah, but he got the hat and he looks cool, Bill. Come on.
We got to get him a hat.
He probably got I know, John, he probably got a sponsorship with the hat deal, too.
Well, we got him a Twitter handle, Wallace's hat.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, Paul, it's hilarious.
We're working on this. We're working on this. But that has to happen now. Like, this can't be something you're just doing for fun. When this series is over, we expect you in New York now.
Well, look, if the Raptors hadn't been in the finals, I'd already been hanging in Queens with the family. So
love it.
I'm okay with this right now. But at some point, I am going to get to New York, whether it be later in the summer or, hey, when the season starts next year.
Well, how long do you think this series is going to go now that it's a split, now that it's 1-1? You saw what happened, obviously, in Game 2. It looked like the Warriors, they just, body after body, was an infirmary in the back there by their locker room, but yet still pulling out this win. Does this feel like a long series, or did the series shift because of what the Warriors did in Game 2?
You know, I think it feels like a long series to me. I mean, Toronto teams in the past would have, they may have folded. And they've got Kawhi Leonard now, who's collectively putting their arm around him and saying, it's okay, guys. Everybody went crazy when they lost Game 1 in Orlando against Orlando at home. They won the next 4. They went down 2-1 to Philadelphia. Philly looking to, you know, there's only been 11 comebacks from 3-1. Philly looking to put the hammer down in Game 4. Kawhi says, I got you. They lose the first 2 to Milwaukee. They win 4 straight. Every time it's been Kawhi Leonard saying, I got you. I got you. And I really think now, with it being 1-1 and coming back here, now, mind you, this is a different quality opponent, but it's still the same guy that's very level across the board saying, all right, we got this. Let's not overreact either way. They've been a good road team all through the regular season. I know this isn't Sacramento or Atlanta or Phoenix, but I mean, that stuff and the confidence does travel and it does prevail. I think we're headed for 6, maybe 7 games still, Al.
Paul, can you speak on the temperament of the team right now?
John, I think it's they taking their cue from Kawhi. You know, don't get too high, don't get too low. After beating Milwaukee 3 in a row, and they said, well, you know, what's it like to maybe win 4 games from Milwaukee? He said, I don't know, I haven't done it yet. You know, when people asked him after Game 2, going down 2-0, where do you go from here? He did the Warren Sapp when he was asked about, you know, where do you go from here after losing the Super Bowl? And Warren Sapp said the airport. Kawhi Leonard said, hey, man, we're going back to Toronto for Game 3. And it's that attitude, John. It's that temperament of, look, you know what? Every game's different. Let's get the next one and worry about it after that. I just think that's the prevailing sentiment and the prevailing temperament, John.
I think the compelling matchup so far in this series has been Draymond Green and Pascal Siakam. The way Siakam played in Game 1, just outstanding, the 32 points. Draymond, after the game, took notice. All right, it's on me. I've got to take him out of the series. And what does he do in Game 2? Head-to-head, he didn't score against him. He was 0 for 6 against him. And obviously Draymond continuing to play really well. Can you see that carrying over? Can Pascal Siakam overcome now Draymond Green's attention to him?
Yeah, you know, Al, I never thought Pascal was going to put up 32 again in Game 2. But I didn't know it would take him 18 shots to get 12 points. I think the level is somewhere in the middle. I think you're going to see, look, Siakam's a proud guy too, and he sees all the comparisons with what he does for Toronto compared to what Draymond Green does for, Golden State with his playmaking, with his scoring, with all of those things, with his defense. And I think you're going to see Pascal kind of come back to a level that's in between the 12 points on 18 shots and the 14 of 17 in Game 1. So I think that's a compelling matchup. And I really think that you're going to see the Raptors try to impact Draymond Green and impact the Warriors offense a little bit better. I mean, they had 5 turnovers in that third quarter run, that 20-0 run, that historic 20-0 run. Raptors had 5 turnovers, and you can't do that. And I think they tighten that up. I think Pascal being a part of that, I think they're going to be okay. And as we talked about a couple minutes ago, I still see a long series.
Paul, what about Kyle Lowry? How are the Raptors going to get him going, and can they win this series if he doesn't get going? He's only 6 for 20 so far in the 2 games.
6 for 20, but he's had some good looks. And I think Kyle needs to stay on the floor, and that's the conundrum. The sword has 2 edges. You love the aggressive, combative, competitive Kyle Lowry, but then you don't want to get him to get into foul trouble. So you kind of can't have it both ways. I think Kyle just has to be a little bit smarter with his decision making. Like, the 6th foul can happen, but it may not have been the 6th if he had gotten a better whistle on some of the earlier calls. So they do need to get him going. And here's a key for you, fellas. Watch Kyle Lowry in the first 5 minutes before the TV timeout in Game 3. When they had issues in Orlando and Philadelphia, Kyle came out aggressive, and at times he had half his points. He had 7 of 16 before the first timeout in Game 4 against Philadelphia. When he's aggressive early, it sets the tone for him, and it helps set the tone for the rest of the team, and it gets him going. So watch this game. Watch before the first TV timeout. Take note of what Kyle Lowry has done, particularly with his scoring, and that'll be a good indicator, a good barometer as to what's happening.
2 things. Number 1, please tell Danny Green he's got to start making some shots, because while Zerbiak keeps bragging he's the best shooter from Long Island, I can't take it anymore. Tell DG he's got to step it up for Long Island. But
when I go into practice now, I'm going to tell him, hey, Wally Z's loud talking.
Let him know, because Danny's got rings. That's the one thing he's got, but he can shoot too. We know that. But this series, you talked about Lowry coming out, playing those first couple of minutes, staying out of foul trouble obviously is going to be important. However, if Klay Thompson is not available, that backcourt gets a lot thinner with Steph Curry. They're already guarding him. Can you see them get a little more physical with Steph Curry, knowing that Klay's not out there, and maybe try to wear Steph down early in this game?
Depends on how much the Raptors want to risk foul trouble.
Okay.
Alan, I think that I think that's the formula, right? That's the recipe against Steph Curry. Try to be physical with him, but you don't want to get into foul trouble. He's at home. You would expect that he would get a good whistle, particularly with his reputation and his status. So, look, if Nick Nurse wants to go deep into his bench, he may do that. But at the same time, you need the offense from some of the guys that might be guarding Steph Curry. You need the offense from Danny Green. You need the offense from Kyle Lowry. In switching situations, you need the offense from Kawhi Leonard. So I think that they're going to be physical with them. Look, we saw box and 1. Don't be surprised to see Nick Nurse junk it up, maybe even throw some zone at him, or the box and 1 again, knowing Steph's really the only outside threat, that can knock it down when there's people on him from a contested standpoint. So, I think Nick Nurse is going to pay attention to him. I don't know what he's going to use for a game plan, but if Klay Thompson's not out there, yeah, you're right. Steph's going to get all the attention.
Paul, we're talking on the show about some of our most starstruck moments, the times we've been fazed or awed by somebody that we've met. Anybody that comes to your mind in your long career?
I'm glad you asked that, Bill. And like I said, I'm around, I've been involved with the NBA for 24 years, and you're around LeBron and Steph and Kobe and Shaq and Barkley and all of those guys I've seen. David Robin, you name it, Kareem, you name it, Patrick Ewing. I have seen them all, and he's a ball player like us. But Game 1 in Toronto, I heard Stephen A. Smith yelling behind me, and he said Omari Hardwick from Power was going to be in the house. I about lost my mind. I am a huge Power fan. I'm late to the party. I'm waiting for season 6. I binge watched 5 seasons of Power in about 2.5 weeks last year.
Wow.
I'm all on Ghost. I'm all on Angela Valdez, Tasha, Tommy, Keisha, Lala's character. I am all about Power. I don't know how I'm going to watch season 6 now, 1 week at a time. I might just wait and let it pass and then binge the whole season at one point. So, yeah, for me, that's my starstruck moment, at least to this point in the finals.
All right, Paul, thanks so much. We got to get you out of there before you get run over by a truck.
Yeah, look out. Look out.
Hey, John Wallace, I'm working on my tan. I'm getting my extra crispy on, man.
Thanks so much, Paul. We really appreciate it.
All right, fellas, anytime.
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.